All right, well, sorry. Yeah, if everybody can mute, thanks. All right, well, welcome everybody tonight to our monthly statewide call for the Maryland Forward Party. We know it's summertime, it's nice outside, it's evening, might be cutting into family time, so we really appreciate you giving up this evening to support the party, to support Forward, and specifically our efforts in Maryland. So again, tonight we are going to talk about our current activities and what our focus is right now, and then we'll have some time at the end for any of your questions and ideas. We'd like to hear from you. So, before we dive into the details, I'd like to introduce our current board. All right, just admitting someone in. Okay, so here's our current board. Matt Byers is our state chair. He's actually away on travel right now, but he'll be joining us back next week. I am Brandon Barrett, vice chair, and we'll go around and do some quick introductions here. I am in Montgomery County. During the day, I work from home as a clinical data analyst, and I've been volunteering for the Forward Party for about a year now. I was not politically involved before joining Forward, but in 2021, I started following Andrew Yang and some of his ideas, and I got very interested in the elements of systemic reform for our political system. And when Forward started, I just felt very compelled to get involved. The reform ideas for Forward make so much sense to me to help fix our broken system, and just really excited to see the positive changes that we can make with Forward. So that's why I'm here. And next we'll go to Shiv Gupta, who's our treasurer. Shiv, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi all, Shiv Gupta. I met Brandon about 8-9 months ago, and I joined Forward since then. I'm hopeful that this is a force for good and moderation in our country and our state, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you to make this a reality. I think I fundamentally realize, as does all of us, that this is a long game, and nobody quite knows how a third party gets started in this country. So we're going to have to figure it out. But nevertheless, I think there's a good reason for us all to be here. Every day, the news reminds us of that. So I'm here for probably the same reasons you guys are.
All right, and then Matt Hines.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. My name is Matt Hines. I'm our ballot access director, which basically means I'm running point on the signature collection process to get us ballot access so we can start running our own candidates, hopefully as soon as 2024. I'm here for a lot of the same reasons that you all are. The division in the country is not sustainable, and there are so many problems with our current two main political parties. And the only thing they agree on is that they should be the only players at the table. And that doesn't include any of us, the people. So that's why I'm here, and I think it's why a lot of the people are too, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
Thanks, Matt. And Mike O'Loughlin.
Hi, my name is Mike O'Loughlin. I'm out here in Anne Arundel County. I'm the events and outreach director, so I'm kind of doing kind of behind the scenes, making sure things are set up for people to have successful events. Trying to reach out and find events that we can go to and have events for outreach and signature collection. And yeah, I've pretty much been politically homeless for a good long while now, and having this was definitely something to have a chance at crafting a political home for myself. And so yeah, definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Okay. So we had a meeting in May, and since then we've had several things going on. So since then we've pivoted. We've began candidate recruitment for our party. Ultimately, our party will only be successful if we can actually run candidates and have candidates. So we began candidate recruitment, and there's going to be 3 types of Forward candidates for our party. So we can have full-fledged members who start off as Forward supporters who want to run as Forward candidates. and they can, plan on running us forward. And then once we actually get status, which we'll talk more about on a later slide about how we're going to get ballot status, they can actually run as a forward candidate. Switchers, just like it sounds, once we have party status, anybody who's currently registered as Republican or Democratic or another party, they could switch to Ford, or we could have affiliates. So people who are affiliated and aligned with Ford, with our values and with our reform ideas, who may still want to stay with the Democratic Party or Republican Party or another party, but would want to run as a Ford Democrat or a Ford Republican. Those would be affiliates of the Ford Party. And recently, we've met with a potential affiliate in Baltimore who has not made official announcement yet, but is hoping to run in Baltimore later this year. We're also scheduling some conversations with current elected officials who we feel are forward aligned based on our priorities of reform and values and principles. So we're working through kind of a short list right now of candidates in the state who we want to talk to and start that conversation with. On a later slide, I think Heinz is going to talk to you about how you can possibly help us with that. Also, we've had a couple signature collection events. One in Baltimore a few weeks ago, and then most recently in Annapolis. And I think Mike's going to talk about some lessons learned there, some positives and other lessons learned with our collection events. We had a book club meeting in May. It's called Let Them Eat Tweets. The book, the title, the book is not about Twitter, so the title kind of threw me off. It's really about, that book was about the conservative dilemma in most democracies, and really talked about the top versus bottom problem that happens in democracies, not as much of the left versus right. So that's what that book is about, kind of the elites versus everybody else. That's and we also have a book club meeting tomorrow. So, and then we'll talk about that later too. And then last week, I attended a pro-democracy networking event in DC. And that was really great because it helps us not just build our network, but also meet and talk to a lot of other people that are kind of part of this space, that are working in the reform space, that actually have jobs, whether it's working, dealing with ranked choice voting, reform organizing, reform education. It was just, again, really good to talk to other people that are kind of aligned with making these types of positive changes. And at that one specifically, there was a lot of people working ranked choice voting in the area. So it was good to talk to them. All right. So more about candidate recruitment.
Yeah. So we started candidate recruitment this month. We pretty much started looking for candidates based on people that align with a lot of our values, people that believe in voting reform, nonpartisan primaries, independent redistricting, really hitting on those core principles and not as much on other kind of headline policy issues that our party hasn't developed yet, because that's not our model. Nationals is setting boundaries, states are setting priorities, and candidates are going to have their policies. But we want your guys' help through this candidate process. It should not fall on us, just the guys who volunteered to be on the board here, to hand select candidates across the state. We want this to be a ground up movement. So a couple ways you can help with that. First things first, think about running for office yourself. We are here to support you in that. This does not mean you need to run for Senate or for Congress or for governor or something like that. There are tons of offices at the local and state level and county level that go either uncontested, are people that are in that office year in and year out. Think about yourself as a candidate. Don't sell yourself short. Experience in private business, experience in your life, it's all applicable. If you know that's not something that's for you, think about people in your life that you think that would be a better person in an office to represent you than the person who's in there now, and talk to them about it and let them know there's ways to get involved and that we can support you in that. If you know someone who is in office now, if you have a relationship and you know for a fact that they are open to things like voting reform, nonpartisan primaries, stuff like that, and they'd be open to having a conversation about that, talk to them about Forward. Ask for a meeting. If there's local officials in your area that you don't know, but that you know are aligned with our values, ask for a meeting. If you don't want to do that meeting yourself, you can suggest them on our candidate suggestion form, and we'll take care of the outreach for you. That's kind of what we're doing now, as we started with our own personal networks and working with HQ at the national level on who they know at the local level that is aligned with us. So it's a team effort, but we really want your guys' help in kind of sourcing these candidates, and definitely think about who you know in your network, who you know in your community, and definitely think about yourself as well, running for office, and we'd love to help you guys get there.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Matt. And again, if you guys have any questions about this later on, we'll open it up at the end of the call. Okay. Events and outreach. I think this is over to you, Mike.
Awesome. So kind of top line, we had two major events since our last meeting. The first one was in Baltimore, where we bunch of people were able to hit the streets of Baltimore and try and talk with people. We were stationed outside the O's game, outside the Inner Harbor, outside Balticon for a little bit. And it was definitely a learning experience for a lot of us. We were able to get a lot of feedback and get some signatures there. But then once we started focusing on things such as Holland's Market, that's where we really started getting a whole lot of traction. So that definitely points us in the direction of local events for us that are already there, and attract local people, is going to pay out dividends for us. That leads us into Annapolis Pride. We had an event there. We actually had a really great location. We were right on the corner of the parade route. So essentially, as soon as we set up our tent, an hour and a half before we were officially supposed to start, we were collecting signatures. We got over 170 signatures that day. It was a very long day, but it was great. Everyone was very receptive to our message, and had lots of great conversations with everyone there. If you've ever been to a Pride Festival, it was, the typical Pride vibe, essentially, where everyone was happy to be there. And lots of great conversations. Hopefully we were able to get some people interested in the party, and hopefully we'll be able to see that coming up. Going forward with that, also, on the 24th, we have Frederick Pride up on Carroll County Linear Park. So if you've ever been to Frederick, the park that's along kind of that little river walk that they have, it's going to be a very good time. If you can, please come out. We'll have buttons to pass out. You might be able to see it on my shirt in the bottom right. We have little Maryland Ford Pride buttons. Those are a big hit. We were able to pass out about 500 at the Annapolis Pride event. So it was definitely a good way for us to get our message out. The following day, there's also a Pride in the Park in Baltimore. We will have a few people. PJ is going to be leading a team there, talking with people, clipboards, passing out buttons, just trying to talk with people there. For Frederick Pride, we do have a table and a tent, so it have kind of a home base for us to work from there. So that's our major events. Moving on to outreach. I'm starting to spin up county-specific outreach. I've noticed Ellen join in. PJ's handling Baltimore City. John Caves, who I believe just joined as well. So I'm working very closely with Matt and his county leads. Being able to, with our new website, we're able to do county-specific email blasts. So that way, as events for the local community do come up, we are able to have that come up. That also puts us into things like a lot of the vacancies that are for elected officials that are here in Maryland. A good number of them are in Prince George's County. So if we can focus on people that do live in those areas, we're able to kind of really drive that home. The other thing we're looking for is college student leaders. College students, they're got a lot of drive, and we want to try and harness that. So if you know a college student that is interested in doing that, kind of starting a club or just kind of starting a group on their own campus, please reach out to us. Have them email us at maryland@forwardparty.com. We'd love to get in contact with them. There are conversations happening nationwide about kind of having a packet and a playbook on kind of getting started a college group. So we definitely wanted to get them plugged into that, so that way they're not just they have the resources to back them up on what they need to do. As always, please check our events website on things that are upcoming. So yeah, marylandforwardparty.com/events. And there's also a volunteer job opening board that we're trying to keep open. We have, this is going to take many, many hands to make this work. As we grow, we're going to need even more. So if you have any free time, want to join and just have a few hours and you're good in Canva, or, you can put some thought together on some decision tree mapping, or, have a few minutes to send out emails, please let us know, and we can definitely put you to work. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Mike. Based on one of the reactions we got from the crowd, we might have someone for the college student. Okay. All right, fundraising. Shiv, you want to speak a little about this?
Sure. I think at last meeting that we had, last statewide meeting we had, we did let you guys know that we've hit a certain threshold now. Every donation you give to the Maryland Party through our website, not the national website, but through our website, the marylandforwardparty.com website, we split the donations 70-30. 70 goes to Maryland, 30 goes to the National Party. Obviously, they support us quite a bit with tools and technology, and therefore it is well deserved on their end. Nevertheless, the bulk of your money does go to us, and we can certainly use it. Some of the things, just so you know, where the money can get used and be helpful for us. For example, a $200 donation helps us buy well-attended public events. I believe the one Pride event that we're looking at Frederick, that was $200, but now we will have a space there for a booth, and we'll be able to make our presence known. The buttons that we give away, which really were a good draw at some of these events, $100 donation helps us get a lot of buttons and print material, and we do go through quite a bit of that, because sometimes people are really interested and want to maybe take things home and learn a little bit about it, because politics being what it is, not everybody trusts you right there at the booth, and they want some material to take home and look at it. So we go through that quite a bit, and so on and so on. And then obviously refreshments, water, et cetera, for the volunteers, things like that. So we do need it. Now, I'd say the other thing that we need to think about at this point is we need to also start to hire some full-time staff. And I think the first thing we need to look at is a fundraising director, full-time fundraising director. And the only way we're going to get a fundraising director is if we fundraise for a fundraising director. So we definitely need some donations there to get that going as well. But hopefully if we can get a full-time fundraising director, that'll be great. That'll give us a lot of ability, and that'll also give us a lot of credibility with the candidates that we're trying to recruit. Don't forget, if they know that we have a budget, that we have the ability not only to get feet on the ground to help them, but also dollars to help support their candidacy, that's super important. So, what you donate now will be the seed for a much bigger organization once we can get the right talent in.
Thanks a lot, Shiv. Yep, very important. All right, communications. So I'll start this off and then throw it over to PJ. So just off the bat, a lot of the ways we get in touch with supporters right now, we're using email a lot. You probably see weekly, sometimes a little more frequent email updates. Hopefully we can have a more regular newsletter that goes out to try to consolidate information as we have more events, more activities coming up, so you don't get emails day after day. But that is a way that we can reach you all. We have your information after you sign up. That's how we reach supporters. And then we also use social media to connect with people. I'm gonna let PJ say a little bit here about some of the things we're working on with social media.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. I'll keep this pretty quick. Just want to let everybody know we're making a consolidated effort right now to kind of push a coordinated kind of alignment of content across our platforms. The main platforms we're working on right now are Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So kind of moving forward, we're going to hope to align those so we can be reaching different people who follow different platforms. Some of the content that will be coming through the pipeline, we've been using it to talk kind of high level about values. We're also going to be using it more and more for event planning as well, announcements for upcoming events and also volunteer opportunities. And then as we pivot very quickly here to candidate recruitment, this seems like a good opportunity to engage with potential candidates as we start to align those candidates. It'll be a good way to be promoting those future candidates. So stay tuned as that starts to develop a little bit more. Fundraising opportunities and volunteer opportunities would be a big part of this as well. And I think maybe one thing we want to test coming up too, it's still a little bit in the works, but maybe a series on social media about who we are as people in Maryland as part of this forward movement. We're thinking about calling it like We Are Forward or something along those lines, but doing individual profiles for people interested in the Forward Party. If you have any interest in this, please feel free to reach out. We're looking for maybe headshots in a 1 to 2 sentence, if you're comfortable with that. Just kind of sharing why you're interested in Forward. And if we can collect enough of these, we want to start to circulate them out just to build some excitement about what brings us all together. I think the last ask here is a big part of social media is sharing the network. So if you're able to direct friends, family to these platforms, if we're all able to get on there, follow things, like things, adding comments, the way these algorithms work is the more activity you do on any of the posts, the more they show up for other people. So the more we can work together to kind of share the network, will be good.
Great ideas. Thanks a lot, PJ. Thanks. And we will, again, just to remind you all that there's different ways to connect with us. There's different links to events, different pages for volunteer openings and so forth on our main MarylandForwardParty.com page. But at the bottom, we have our web or email address. You can always send us an email if you're not sure where to go or who to talk to. So again, should be several ways that you can try to connect with us. All right, ballot access. Over to you, Matt.
Oh boy. So, ballot access. We need to collect 10,000 signatures to get minority party status here in Maryland. We've set our goal at 17,500 because we know that if we submit 10,000 signatures, a lot of them will be thrown out by the Board of Elections. That process is intentionally made to be very difficult. They make the form difficult to complete for people trying to sign it. They make the process difficult for those organizing these events. And they make the process difficult for submitting these signatures. So the best thing you guys can do to help us is sign. So that link right there is a link to the petition. There are instructions there where you can print that out at home, sign it yourself, and mail it back to us. Or if you're coming to meet us at one of our events, you can just bring it in person there. And the only other thing we'd ask is that if you have anyone else in your home or in your office or in your life that you see with some, frequently, see if they would sign as well. There's 5 spaces on each form. So if you can send us back a full form, you've helped us a lot. If you are interested in coming out and helping with signature collection events, there are a couple different ways you can get involved. If you're a little bit more introverted and you're not somebody that wants to stand out there and really kind of solicit these signatures, there's a whole data entry part of it where we're going in and confirming these signatures and the address and everything's correct. So we know internally that that's going to be a valid signature, and also so we know how many we have without having to count the pieces of paper. So there's a data entry side of it. If you are an outgoing person, you're comfortable talking, we can absolutely use you there as well. So there's lots of different ways to get involved with the signature collection effort. If you want to lead events, we can absolutely use you. We are looking for field captains to kind of claim different areas. We have coverage in Montgomery County, Baltimore City, Frederick, and Carroll County. But we can always use more coverage in those areas because we are all volunteers and we are all just trying to, give as much time to this as we can. But of course, if you're in an area that I didn't list, we absolutely want your help because we want to get signatures from every county in Maryland. And we'd love to have a county leader in every county in Maryland because we want this to be a statewide effort. If you have any questions about signature collection specifically, I'll drop my email in the chat after this. But I think that about covers it for today.
Thanks, Matt. Yep. So as everybody can see, we have a lot of things moving in parallel to try to keep this going. It's all kind of like working in concert with each other, getting ballot access, being able to run candidates, building the community, just kind of like keeping people aware of the Maryland Forward Party. So a lot going on, a lot of different ways that you could get involved that you can help us. Okay. So before we open it up to questions, what's next? So some of this is just a summary of what we've already talked about. So we want to build a viable, durable party, right? So in order to do that, this has to be built for the long run. We're starting at the local levels. We want to be able to run candidates at the local levels, build bottom up, kind of grassroots, work with communities, find community leaders, get them involved with Forward Party. And so in order to do that, as Matt mentioned, we have to get ballot access. So we have to submit all of those signatures, submit a petition with all of those signatures. Once we're done, once we've reached our goal, that goes to the Board of Elections. It gets reviewed. Then our party governing board will create a constitution and bylaws to make our party official in the state of Maryland. And then candidates can actually then officially register as a Forward Party candidate. And hopefully we can do that as soon as next year. That's our goal, to be able to have that status in place and to do that as soon as next year. We're regularly meeting with the national team on a weekly basis. We have our couple primary points of contact with the national team that we talk with and strategize with regularly. We also have connections with other Forward Party state leads, so state partners around the country, more specifically kind of in this region. For example, I think John, who's on the call, met with some people from from the Appalachian Alliance. So the West Virginia team started an alliance with states in this region, making connections that way. And I think he's actually going to potentially meet with some of the West Virginia leaders soon. So these connections kind of like help build the local, regional communities and just build the network and build the movement in general. And then different states can help each other. So we can get volunteers from Virginia to help us, from DC, from Pennsylvania, for that signature collection. Signature collectors do not have to be Maryland residents, even though the signatures that we're getting have to be from registered voters in Maryland, but signature collectors, the circulators, can be from other states as long as they're over 18 registered voters. So we can work with other states to get support, volunteer support that way too. One thing that we're going to be working on very soon is establishing a priorities committee. We should have more information about that soon. I think there's going to be a lot of interesting ways for people to get involved, join different conversations, potentially working groups. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go, so we can build out priorities for Forward at the state level, community level, and have some really important conversations that we think are going to be kind of a core of Forward, the way we have these conversations, the way we go about dealing with solutions to everyday problems or to political problems. We're also going to continue building partnerships, growing our network. One partnership that we've established recently, we have a lot more work to do and to help this grow, but it's a partnership with Braver Angels. They're an organization that their entire mission is about moderating constructive conversations between people at opposite ends of the political spectrum. If you look at Braver Angels, you see they're referred to blues and reds. Hopefully, as time goes on, they can move away from that. But ultimately, what they're doing is they're bridging that gap between people that just, again, on very extreme sides of the political spectrum. It's very great mission, very aligned with forward values and principles. And we're going to continue to network and talk to other reform organizations as well. There's several RCV, ranked choice voting organizations that are trying to implement voting reform throughout the country. So yeah, again, continue to grow that network. And like I mentioned before, we do have a book club. We have a summer book club right now going on where we've posted 3 reading selections for the summer. Tomorrow we're actually meeting for the June book club. But we have the next 2 books already set for July, August. So if anybody's readers want to get involved, please take a look at the page there, and then you can contact us if you need more information. All right, and a little bit more of how you can help. I think, Mike, were you going to take this one? This slide?
Yeah. So, like we've said multiple times on this call, this is a big, gigantic undertaking, and it's going to be done one small bite at a time. And in order to do that, we definitely need all the help we can get. So if you're on this call, we definitely would love your help. And we need all sorts of voices to make this thing go forward and be a viable party going forward. So the big thing we're focused on now is candidate selection. If you have any interest in running for a local or county race, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have some connections, and we've been looking at this for quite a while, so we have at least a little bit of knowledge on how to move forward. But we'd love to hear from you and love to gauge your interest. Or if you are in a district that you'd like your leader to think that they are on the right path and would be a good fit for forward, please reach out in that candidate suggestion box. Right now there's just a few people that are reaching out, trying to do the one-on-ones and getting the forward name out to elected leaders currently. So we definitely don't have a full spectrum of all the elected positions in Maryland at the moment. So we'd love to hear from you on that. The petition is always a big ask. That 17,500 signatures. It's going to take a lot of work, and we need every single signature we can get on that. So download the form, fill it out for yourself. Get people you live with, some of your neighbors to sign it, and please send it in for us. Discord is a great resource. That's kind of we're a part of the National Forward Party Discord, so you can see all the conversations that are happening nationwide. But we do have a Maryland subsection, and that's great for real-time communication between the board. I know I'm pretty much chronically online and chronically on there. So if you ping something, I usually see it within 10, 15 minutes. And most of the board is like that too, because we're bouncing ideas back and forth with each other on there all day. Like Shiv mentioned, donations, unfortunately, money is what greases the wheels of politics. And in order to affect change, we need to start being able to get things moving for us. So any donations that you can make will be helpful and are greatly appreciated. If you can't donate, but you still believe in us, please volunteer. We have, like I said, we have a list of volunteer openings. If you have something that you think you would like to do and don't see it, by all means, reach out to us. We're willing to take any effort that you are willing to give. And that's it.
Thanks again, Mike. Yeah, before I open up to a Q&A, just want to stop and thank everybody, several of them on this call, everybody who's volunteered up to this point, who's done anything for Forward Party, supported up to this point. You've seen pictures on our slides at different events. Here's Pete and Ben in Annapolis doing the hard work, doing the data entry for signature collection. So again, I just want to thank everybody who's given their time so far. We still have a lot ahead, but every little bit matters. So I just want to thank everybody. And thank you all for being on this call. Again, for giving up your time. It's not a small thing, right? To be here, want to listen more and learn more about Ford. So thanks a lot. All right. We will open it up to your questions now. You can either, if you want to talk, please raise your hand and you'll join a queue, and then I'll go through the queue. If you want to post questions in the chat, please do that, and then you can, that's another way, and then we'll answer your questions from the chat. All right. We got a hand up. Joanne, do you have a question?
Hi. I'm very intrigued by the idea. Excuse me. I'm also allergic to spring, but
Oh, no worries.
concerned about dividing the vote in the presidential campaign. I'm glad to see that you're not focused on the 2024 presidential campaign at this point. Yeah, I don't think that's the first priority. But we could end up pushing things toward the extreme, the way things are set up if we start getting into national races. And I guess that's just president and vice president. So that's kind of what's on my mind.
Okay.
I'll just toss that out there.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, and I think you mentioned this, you may have already read it, that Forward Party does not have any plans to run a presidential candidate in 2024. Whether or not there are any that are able to run for Congress, I don't know at this point if there are any scheduled to run for Congress, but for presidential election, yes, that is off the table for Forward Party in 2024. Okay. Another question. Scott, you have a question?
Hey, yeah, how you doing? My name is Scott Maucione. I'm actually a reporter with NPR. I was interested in possibly doing a story on you guys, just wondering who the best person to reach out to is, and possibly hoping to meet up with you at the Baltimore Pride event and see you in action.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be great. You can if you can send a message to this Maryland@forwardparty.com, and then myself or Matt Byers will reach back out to you. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. I appreciate it, and interesting listening to you guys today. Take care.
Thanks for joining the call, Scott. Yeah, appreciate it.
Sure. Take care.
Okay. Let's see if anybody else. All right. No one has their hands up. Just checking the chat, see if we have any questions there. All right, Matt, just reading your comment here. Will Maryland Forward? Sorry, just reading your question, Matt. So you're asking about local community members to form policies and platform base in their districts that face them. Yeah, so that's a great question. So Matt, I think we're going to have some more information coming out about that when we form our priorities committee. So just the general approach there is that, and you can see this on the Forward Party website too, is the national team is kind of, when the Forward Party formed, the national presence created the values and principles of the Forward Party. And then it's up to the states to kind of drive the priorities at the local levels. And then candidates will then take their own positions on policies. So right now, we're not creating specific policy platforms at the local level, but we hope that as we build out our priorities, they will lead to, those constructive conversations around policies and talk about like the process of how we get there. So there's a lot. I know that covers a lot. That's kind of broad, but right now we are not, we're not developing a rigid policy platform. But to your question, I want to make sure that that everybody can get involved in any way they want to, and be part of those conversations. And if those lead to, policy improvements, policy discussions, down the road, then that will be part of this whole movement. So I don't know if that answers your question specifically, or if you had a follow-up there, or if you're going in a different direction. But okay. How is Howard County doing? In terms of, Joanne, you asked about Howard County in terms of just like activities going on? Is that, or
Is
just,
there anything happening in Howard County? Are there people signed up?
yeah, I'm sure we
Okay,
have
you
some
need help
support.
in Howard
signed up
County if
and-
you're interested.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure we have supporters in Howard County. We don't have current events or activities in Howard County though. So yeah, any help there? If you want to get involved in Howard County, if you want to help us volunteer, get something started, we'd love to hear your ideas. Yeah. Okay, Matt, did you have another question?
Yeah, this is actually finally got my mic to work. This is actually
No worries.
it's actually Joanne's question actually. When it comes to like the county level, and I saw this browsing on the website on Find Your State, and states like Tennessee, when you sign up to be like a volunteer or something, they have like a list of counties. Like if you want to get involved with your county or become a local organizer, sign up here. Is the Maryland party going to be doing the same thing where once you become a volunteer, once you have access to that, like becoming a county, like find your county basically to become like a local organizer to get your county up and running, like local chapters basically?
Yes, ideally we'll have county and local chapters as we grow. We don't have that specifically. We may not have that specifically mentioned on the website. I mean, we can talk about it, how we present that, but the answer to your question is yes. Everybody is very welcome to start volunteering, start leading efforts in their county at the local levels, and any way you want. But maybe part of your question is, do we have official county chapters right now? No, we don't have county chapters. We have county efforts, but we don't have official county chapters yet. That doesn't mean you can't start something in your county at the county level, or start a county chapter, or if you're interested. And in terms of, how that's presented on the website, maybe we can think about that. Yeah. Okay, Deborah? You have a question?
Yes, I was just wondering if Governor Hogan is involved at all. Has he been reached out to, or is he giving any support to our Maryland movement?
Not that I know of at the moment. So we are not involved with Governor Hogan right now. Whether or not that changes in the future, but right now he's not involved with the Maryland Forward Party.
Yeah, I'm just thinking he might have some resources or some ideas for networking, for people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who would like to be involved.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a good point.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm actually doing outreach, trying to cold call. Sent an email to former Governor Hogan, but that's one of those that gets lost in some email inbox. But kind of the higher level staffers that wouldn't get spam email essentially.
Right.
reach out to them, because, with him not doing presidential run and everything else, they might be wayward and looking for ways to spend their energy as well. So we definitely want to try and capture that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
will put out there that at the national level, Michael Steele, former Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, he is of an advisor, and that has been talked about, us working with him in some capacity, either whether advisory or just kind of in passing. But that is something that's being talked about. So there are people with networks and name recognition that are politically in line that are involved from Maryland.
Okay. Yeah, for the last 20 years, I've worked for the General Assembly in the House, and for delegates, and it's they're so aligned to the two parties, and so it's hard. It's scary for them, right, to leave whatever party they're with. But yeah, if we could just wedge in, get our nose under the tent, I think we'll get some movement. It's just finding a few brave, I'd like to get some existing elected officials to jump on board. But again, it's scary for them to leave their support base, especially financially. So, but I applaud you all. I'm impressed. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. It is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy right away. I think we're going to have to follow the energy, continue to have conversations with people, see who it resonates with. I think we're finding that once people hear about us and what we're doing, it's well received for a lot of people.
Yep.
And I understand there's different motivations and different considerations when you're talking about current officials who are already embedded in their party. But yeah, we got to keep trying, and go
Have we coalesced with the League of Women Voters? I mean, the League of Women Voters say they're nonpartisan. I kind of question that, but they do say over and over and in all their materials that they're nonpartisan. So has the League of Women Voters been approached yet?
We have not directly connected with them yet.
Because they have county chapters, they have state chapters, and they have national.
I know they're high on Michael's list for outreach.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was actually their Annapolis office. My old office was one floor above there, so they are high on the list.
Right. Also, Common Cause Maryland. They're pretty nonpartisan. Of course, here in Maryland, you think everything's liberal and everything goes that way, but there are groups who say they're nonpartisan, and I think we should reach out to them and hold them accountable. I think we can match. I think both those groups, League of Women Voters and Common Cause Maryland, can certainly match up in certain areas. Just, we're probably not going to find total matches, even in husbands and wives. We don't find total matches, but I think we're looking for those who listen and want balance, and can discuss issues across the aisle. So those groups come to mind.
Oh, that's great. I made these notes, Deborah, and I'd be happy to talk with you again soon about some of these ideas.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll try to connect. Thanks, Deborah. I appreciate it. Monica, hello. You have a question?
Yes. Can you hear me? Is my mic working?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Please excuse my ignorance, but I'm just trying to get some clarity. I thought I was reading that the forward party is not really requiring people to actually disaffiliate with their current party as a part of being a part of Forward. Is that accurate or even possible?
Yeah, so a couple of things there. If you're talking about, so right now when we're gathering signatures for our party petition to get party status in the state, that does not require you to change your party affiliation. So that is just any registered Maryland voter can sign the petition It's not changing your party affiliation. If you're talking about candidates, there was one thing we mentioned at the top of the call. There would be 3 types of Ford candidates. One would be a full-fledged Ford candidate, most likely, or probably at this early stage is going to be candidates who are new to politics or are running for the first time. Once we get party status, they can run as a Ford candidate. There would be switchers who would switch, once we have status, switch from their party to another or to Ford. And then there are affiliates. So that might be what you're referring to, where it would be they would stay with the Democratic Party, but they would show that they are aligned with Ford, with our reform ideas, with our values and principles, and they could basically present themselves as like a Ford Democrat or for Republican. So that would be an affiliate. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to.
Yeah, that may be what I was reading about the affiliate.
Okay.
That was something that interested me when I was reading some of the material.
Okay.
But thank you for answering the question.
Oh yeah, no worries. Okay. Thanks, Monica. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? No? Okay. If anybody is interested in joining Discord and they haven't joined Discord, I know Pete suggested the idea of people staying on, and we can show you how to join. Sometimes the steps for getting onto Discord can be a little challenging. So if anybody is interested in that, you can let us know. You can stay on at the end of the call. Okay. Any more questions, or people ready to go finish the dinner, relax before tomorrow's workday? Okay. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, just want to thank everybody for your time. I know this is, oh, sorry, John. Yeah.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I think we just need some motivation here. Like let's do this, folks. We can do it. We've got hundreds of signatures already. Like stuff is happening and we're moving along. And the best thing I think that any of us would really like is, if after this call you just got back in touch at some point, join Discord or send an email to any of the state leads or those of us helping with county and city stuff that put our emails in the chat. Just get in touch and we will work with you and find a way to get you involved in a way that works for you. And like together, like we can do it. Like we can get it done.
Absolutely. No, thanks, Sean. You're right. Yes. Please stay in touch. We're going to be going on for a long time here. We have a lot to do, and yes, definitely please stay in touch and get involved in any way you can. We'd love your support, need your help. So yeah, thanks, John. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is great to see new faces on this call. It's always great. I think some people recently signed up, so it's great to see new faces. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your time. We know we have a mountain to climb here, but it's one worth climbing. We want to see some real positive change in our political system. So thanks again. And like John said, yeah, please keep in touch. We got to keep this going.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to stay on for some help for Discord.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
I'm staying on also.
Okay.
Yeah, Ellen, just to let you know, I didn't forget about you. I've been fighting with the site to get that list generated for a little while, and finally, just before the meeting, was able to get it pulled. So.
Yep, I sent it over.
Yeah. Well, you aren't the first person to forget about me.
Oh no, don't.
Yeah, I'm just.
Pete, I'm assuming you're on?
I am on.
Okay. What would work best? Because I think people are going to see something slightly different on their screen if they haven't joined Discord yet, right?
Well,
So-
actually, if I could just say, I somehow joined Discord, but I don't know where I'm at. It says to add friend. Well, I don't know if you could see. Wait a minute, hold on a second.